Once upon a time, in the quiet town of Owerri, there lived two brothers called Daniel and Joseph. They were just 2 years apart. Daniel was the elder one. He was calm, quiet, and always smiling. While Joseph was younger, bold, fast-talking, and known for chasing big dreams. They were born into a poor family where their mother sold bread by the roadside because their father died before they turned teenagers. Daniel was the one who always stayed behind to help their mother. But Joseph, he left early to hustle in Lagos. Many years later, Daniel learned how to fix cars and worked as a part-time mechanic. He lived a simple life. He was quiet and faithful even though he was poor. But Joseph became successful. He was smart, streetwise, and lucky. He made money from import business and got contracts with politicians. He became rich. However, one day, everything changed. It started with a phone call. Daniel was under a car at the workshop fixing a customer's fuel tank when his phone rang. He wiped his hands quickly and picked up. Hello? It was Joseph's wife, Grace. She was crying bitterly.
Daniel, please come. Come to Lagos. Joseph is in the hospital. He is dying.
Without wasting time, Daniel took the next bus to Lagos and arrived the next morning, dusty from the long night bus. He hadn't even eaten. He went straight to the hospital in Ikeja. Grace hugged him tight, still crying. Inside the private ward, he saw his younger brother Joseph lying weak on the bed, connected to machines. His eyes were sunken, his voice was dry. Danny, he whispered. Daniel rushed to him. What happened? He asked.
Kidney failure,
Grace replied. Joseph grabbed Daniel's hand. They said, I need a transplant. Daniel blinked. He looked at the doctor in the room. What does this mean? The doctor explained. He needs a kidney fast from a living donor. There was silence. Then Grace spoke.
They already tested me, but I don't match.
Daniel looked at his brother. Joseph's eyes were full of tears.
I don't want to die,
he said. Daniel nodded. I'll do the test, he said without thinking twice. 2 days later, the test results came back and Daniel was a perfect match. The doctors explained everything, the risk and the dangers involved. Life with one kidney would require care and recovery would take time. Daniel asked just one question. If I don't give him, will he die? The doctor nodded and Daniel didn't think twice. He said yes. The night before the surgery, Daniel sat beside Joseph in the hospital bed. Why did you come? Joseph asked quietly. Daniel smiled. Because you're my brother. Joseph turned his face away and tears rolled down.
I don't deserve this.
Daniel shrugged. Maybe not, but I'm doing it not because you deserve it. I'm doing it because I love you. The surgery took 2 long hours. 2 brothers on 2 tables. One life risked to save the other. The surgery was successful. Joseph survived. Daniel became weaker but alive. The whole hospital staff clapped when they saw Daniel walking after 2 days. People called him a hero. Grace hugged him and called him a gift from God. Joseph cried when he saw him after the surgery. You saved me, he said. Daniel smiled weakly and replied, You are my blood. 3 weeks later, Daniel returned home. He was given a little envelope with 100,000 naira from Joseph to show his appreciation. But Joseph never visited Daniel again. He got busy. He stopped calling, and after some time, he blocked Daniel's number the day Daniel called and complained that they are drifting away. 3 months later, Daniel heard from a friend in Lagos that Joseph had bought a new house in Lekki and was now moving with governors and big men. He had even bought a Lexus Jeep. But Daniel, he was still at home, weak, still healing. His mechanic job was gone. He didn't have the strength to work like he used to. He tried calling Joseph, but his number was unreachable. He called Grace, but there was no reply either. He sent text messages, no response. His heart broke little by little every day. So one day, he borrowed money from a friend and traveled to Lagos. He waited outside Joseph's office building for hours. When Joseph finally came out, Daniel smiled and called out, "Joe!" Joseph saw him and pretended to not recognize him. Daniel ran up to him. "Joe, it's me, Daniel." Joseph paused, then sighed. "Daniel, please, don't embarrass me here." Daniel's heart stopped. "Embarrass you? Joe, it's me, oh. I gave you my kidney." Joseph's face changed. "And did I not give you money? Abi, you want to use that thing to be begging me forever?" Daniel shook his head slowly. "I didn't ask you for anything," he said in shame. "Then go home," Joseph said. He entered his car and drove off, leaving Daniel at the gate like a common beggar. Daniel couldn't get a bus back to Owerri that time, so he rented a motel that night and sat on the bed alone, thinking. He had no money left to go back to Owerri, no one in Lagos to stay with. His eyes were red from crying, his stomach was empty, and his heart was shattered. He looked down at his side where the surgery scar still itched sometimes. "I gave you life, and you gave me silence," he said to himself. The next day, Daniel started doing manual jobs to save up money to return to Owerri. Fortunately, he met a good Samaritan who assisted him with the money he needed. But Joseph, he was rising. He had political appointments coming, and he was now rubbing shoulders with big men. But something strange began to happen. He couldn't sleep well. He would wake up sweating, hearing voices, seeing shadows. He started losing appetite. The doctor said he was fine, but in his heart he knew something was chasing him. 2 months after, Daniel had returned to Owerri. He was thinner now, quiet. He no longer spoke much in public. One evening, while sitting on a wooden bench outside his mother's house, a car pulled up. It was Grace. She stepped out looking scared. She walked to Daniel. "Please, he's dying again." Daniel didn't say anything. "He's been vomiting blood. Doctors can't explain it. He keeps calling your name in his sleep." Still, Daniel said nothing. Grace knelt down. "Please, come and see him." Daniel stood up slowly and walked into the house, leaving Grace on her knees. Grace had no choice but to return to the city. In the hospital where Joseph was admitted, he had a terrible dream and sat up suddenly on the bed, sweating. Grace rushed to his side. "What is it again?" she asked. Joseph was shaking. "I saw Daniel," he said. "He was bleeding, standing over my bed. He said I should give it back." Grace grabbed her phone and quickly called her pastor. She knew it was beyond the physical now. "He's saying things again, sir. Please come. Please pray for him." The pastor showed up almost immediately, and after prayers, he told Grace to take Joseph home. His condition is not a medical one. Only one person can save him, and that is Daniel. The pastor took it upon himself to call Daniel and plead with him to come and see his only brother. After much persistence, Daniel finally agreed to visit, not because he wanted to, but because he had questions burning inside. He entered Joseph's mansion in Lekki, marble floors, big chandeliers, security guards, but inside, Joseph looked like a dying king. His face was pale, his eyes were sunken. He barely recognized Daniel when he entered, but when he did, he stretched out his hand. "Brother." Daniel didn't move closer. He looked at the house and then Joseph. "So this is where you brought my kidney to," he said softly. Joseph swallowed hard. "I was wrong." Daniel's eyes hardened. "Wrong?" "You gave me life, and I paid you with silence." Daniel said nothing. Joseph began to cry, but Daniel's face remained cold. Grace stood by the door, her eyes swollen from crying. She spoke softly. "You don't know what happened behind the scenes." Daniel turned to her. "What happened?" She hesitated a little and then told the truth. After the surgery, Joseph had just recovered. He had just started walking again. Then one day, he stood in front of the mirror, shirtless. He saw the scar on his side, the one from the kidney transplant. He hated it. He touched it again and again, and then suddenly he burst into tears.
not because of pain, but because of shame. To him, the scar reminded him of weakness, of needing someone and begging. In Joseph's mind, he believed that if you saved him, you will always think you are better than him. So he made a decision. He told himself that he will cut you off before he sees you, before you see him as small, before you remind him every day that he owes you.
Daniel's mouth fell open. So you threw me away because of your ego. Joseph didn't speak.
He didn't even want me to say thank you to you. He wanted to pretend like it never happened. But that pain ate him from inside.
Daniel sat down. He felt dizzy. All those months of silence, betrayal, rejection was just because of pride. Just then, the family pastor entered the room. He greeted everyone and walked to Joseph's bed. He touched his head and prayed. Then he turned to Daniel. Son, there's something you need to know. Daniel looked up. The day you gave your kidney, something happened in the realm of spirit. A covenant was formed between the both of you. But when Joseph rejected you, the covenant turned into a curse. Everyone froze. The pastor continued. When a man gives his blood, his organ, his life, and is forgotten, it brings a bitter curse of rejection and torment. Joseph had been dying not just because of his body, but because of that broken bond.
So what do we do?
Grace asked with tears already streaming down her face. The pastor turned to Daniel. You're the one with the key. Daniel was confused. Me? Yes, you must break it yourself. You must speak the words. You must forgive him from your heart, or else this death will not pass over. Daniel suddenly broke down. For the first time since he was rejected, he cried. Not small tears, but big painful tears. He remembered the nights he slept outside, the days he went hungry, the customers he lost, and the dreams that died inside him. He cried for the scar on his body, for the scar in his heart. Then slowly he stood up, walked to his brother, placed a hand on his chest and said, I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I want to be free, and because I want God to hear me again. You took my kindness and threw it away, but I won't carry your punishment anymore. I give you peace. I give you back your life. May God judge between us. Suddenly, Joseph begins to shake. His eyes rolled, he screamed and shook violently. The pastor held his head and prayed. After 10 minutes, Joseph calmed down. His breathing slowed. He opened his eyes and looked around and smiled faintly. The voices, they are gone. When Daniel saw that he was now fine, he turned and walked away. He didn't wait for thanks and he didn't wait for gifts. He just turned and walked out of the house, out of the gate and out of the pain. 2 weeks later, Daniel received an envelope from a courier. Inside was a handwritten letter and a bank check of 5 million naira. The letter read, Daniel, I don't know if you will ever speak to me again. I don't deserve it, but I want to fix what I broke. Use this to start something. You've always dreamed of owning a workshop. This is the beginning. Thank you for saving me twice. Your brother, Joseph. Some months later, Daniel stood in front of a small building, his new workshop, Danny Auto Works. Children ran past and the sun shined on his car. He touched it gently and smiled, not because it didn't hurt anymore, but because he survived it. 6 months later, the sun had just begun to rise over Douglas Road, casting soft yellow light over the town. Inside a small corner workshop in Amakohia, a man swept the dusty cement floor with small, careful strokes. It was Daniel. He looked stronger now. He had put on some weight. His eyes were clearer and sharper. His smile, though small, returned to his face more often these days. The name, Danny's Auto Works, was painted boldly across the front of the shop. Beside it stood a new alignment machine, a tire changing tool, a refurbished car lift, all purchased from the 5 million naira that Joseph gave to him. Daniel had opened the shop quietly. No party, no dancing. He didn't want noise, just peace. But the walk made him breathe again. A Toyota Camry pulled up at his shop. Daniel was under a car bonnet when he heard the door slam. He stepped out, wiping grease from his hands. The last person he expected to see was standing there. Joseph, now wearing native wear, darker skin and shaved beard. Daniel froze. "Good morning, Danny," Joseph said. Daniel nodded but said nothing. "I came to visit." Daniel folded his arms. "What do you want?" "To see you and to thank you again." "You already did." "I want to do more, brother." Daniel frowned. "What more?" Joseph hesitated. "I want to be part of your life again." Daniel stared at him long and hard and said softly, "I forgive you, Joseph, but I don't want to walk backwards." For a moment, Joseph looked embarrassed, then quietly said, "Okay, I understand." But he didn't leave. Instead, he stayed and helped out in the workshop despite Daniel's refusal. He stayed from morning until Daniel closed the workshop. Then he left the next day. He did the same thing, staining his expensive outfit with engine oil and dirt in the workshop. On the third day, Daniel finally called him aside just after he closed the workshop and hugged him passionately. "You are my brother. You will always be my brother. Think about the past, about our mother and where we came from. We were happy even when we were poor. We should be happier now," Daniel said. Joseph broke down in tears and went on his knees. He apologized for everything he put Daniel through, and they both reconciled. The moral lesson of this story reminds us that not all betrayals come from enemies. Sometimes, most times, it comes from the ones we loved most. Giving doesn't make you weak, it makes you powerful, even if they throw your gift away. Pride destroys what love builds. Forgiveness doesn't mean returning to pain. It means setting yourself free. Sometimes, God will reward you, not through the people you helped, but through your own strength to survive without them.